Today, I'm going to talk about the difference of renting a home versus owning a home. I am absolutely going to lean towards owning a home. Why would you want to rent? I'm sure there's a good reason. Personally, myself, I've been purchasing real estate for over 20 years. I love real estate. I guess there are some benefits to renters, and that is if you own, you have the ability that some people do love renting. I can't think of many other reasons why to rent. I mean, if you're moving to an area where you're going to be there for a year or two and you're on a contract, great. But even then, could you buy an investment property that you can live in for a year or two and then turn it into a rental property when you leave?
Well, Matt, that doesn't even consider the upside potential of some properties where you're putting in remodeling, adding another floor, splitting a lot, doing square footage improvements to the property, those types of things, as well as the ability to rent out that property that you own for a profit. Also, you can rent out pieces of the property too, like you could rent a bedroom. That's a really good strategy when you think about it over time, because that's really just helping to pay down the mortgage, and it can be really a value add moving forward with your property, especially if you're buying the right house.
Absolutely. And Harley, as you know, when you purchase a house with 5% down or 10% down and you own that home as a personal residence, if you live there for say 6 months or even a year, and your life circumstances change, your intent changes, and you need to relocate or move, to another city, you can then rent that property fully.
Right.
Your mortgage lender is not going to penalize you or care. You definitely need to notify your insurance company that it's now an investment property and you're no longer occupying it. But your bank, you don't have to call and tell them. So what if you move every 2 years? Or even with real estate, talk about every 2 years. I personally move every 2 years myself. I'm always buying real estate every year, but every 2 years, I'm identifying one house that I am going to live in it for the next 2 years. And when I sell that house, I have a capital gains exemption on a portion of my profits. But if I decide that I don't want to sell it at that time, I can still rent that house for another 3 years. It's phenomenal.
Well, Matt, and then also think about when you buy a house and you buy it on a fixed rate loan, say a 15-year, 20-year, 30-year loan, think about, what did you pay for rent 20 years ago? What did you pay for rent 15 years ago? It doesn't go up. I mean, it just stays the same. I mean, it's the same mortgage payment. And guess what? You're building equity at the same time.
Yeah, I purchased a $98,000 condo. It was a 2-bedroom condo. And when I purchased that condo, I was on a 6% interest rate. And what I did was I rented one of those rooms and I charged $500. So I was able to offset a portion of my mortgage when I was living in that property. And I owned that home for 2 years, and I sold that home for $132,000. And since I lived there for 2 years, I had a capital gains exemption on all of the profit. And I took that $30,000 that I made and I rolled it into a single family residential house. But if I would have kept that home today, holy moly, that would have probably be renting for, it was on Lake Sammamish, Villa Marina condos. That's about a $2,700 a month rent. That unit would be paid for. So the cash flow on that, my goodness, man, I'd be making per year what I made selling it one time. However, the fact that I owned it versus renting it, it gave me the ability to build cash, sell it, and I was able to take that investment and roll it into the next investment. For my investment strategy, it's a combination of renting versus owning, but I do like to build additional cash to buy more real estate and take advantage or capitalize on the opportunity of leverage.
Well, Matt, it's the systems that are put in place because the government and the powers that be want you to buy real estate. They want you to own real estate. They're incentivizing you to do so. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money in real estate. Pick your favorite board game. I mean, look at Monopoly. My goodness, how that game is structured, that is exactly how it works in real life as well. I mean, you're buying houses, you're creating equity, you're rolling the dice, you're buying single families, you turn them into multifamilies, you collect the rent on those as well. You start to build equity, build real long-lasting wealth with a durable asset, especially in today's climate of just inflation and things that are just, let's face it, just aren't really real. Like, everybody needs a home to live in. So if you're going to buy real estate, if you're going to invest in real estate, you're going to get a property for yourself, potentially have a rental, potentially have short-term rental, Airbnb, Vrbo. you name it. Get one in an area where high in demand. That's a critical element to this whole equation. High in demand, or what we call is an upcoming area. So look at all those factors when you're combining this and you're looking at it from an investment standpoint.
I love it. The upside potential of owning a home. It's not just a roof over your head. You get the potential appreciation of the property. You get the tax write-off of the property. You get the security of calling it your own property. The security of owning a home has so many advantages. Can you think of a few other ones?
There's leverage to be gained with home ownership in general in using financial instruments to do so.
Wow, I love it. So another benefit of owning real estate is that you can improve it. Every property has additional investment strategies. It's not just renting the property. It can be fixing the property up. In rentals today, where you can purchase a home, have it as your personal residence, you can rent out a portion of that home as a separate rental unit, and you can even build a second structure on the property and have that as a third additional dwelling unit. Today, affordable home is highly encouraged and incentivized.
Today, we also have what we call short-term rentals. Mm-hmm. A lot of people know them as Airbnb or Vrbo. You can do this as well. I've even seen it, and don't be short-sighted about this. Yes, you can rent out the bedroom. Yeah. Yes, you can rent out the whole property. I've even seen it to where people, get this, Matt, people rent out half of a bed. Half of a bed. It's gotten down that granular today. And especially in high metro areas like Seattle and DC, New York, Dallas, and really high demand areas, you're going to have more flow for that. You're going to have more demand for those types of situations. So think outside the box a little bit. I mean, look at it from different angles. Sometimes it's good to have more assets out there and more loans out there for good properties. Right? I mean, things that are going to serve you, not only your lender that you're getting them from, and in the community in general, too, because the strategies are going to be solid, and you're going to have to look at it from multiple angles. An investment strategy needs to have at least two different ways that you're going to exit from a property and or make money from it, if not three.
Absolutely. Can you think of any reasons why you'd want to be a renter versus a homeowner?
Yes, actually, if you're running a business that requires, say, that you're going to have a short-term lease or something for a particular property that you're using for entertainment or clients or things like that, yeah, there could be some leasing strategy in there, and there could be some write-offs, along with that might be advantageous.
I love it. Well, what I would say to the person that thinks they can't afford right now, I would seek more education.
Right.
Yeah, real estate is extremely affordable, and there are ways that you can purchase a property maybe 3 or 4 times greater than what you think you can afford.
Well, that's a really good point, because the mortgage is really comprised of 3 things. You've got to have the credit, you've got to have the down payment, you've got to have the income. You have those 3 things, and typically, guess what? You've got to have those same 3 things to get into a rental property from today's standards as well. It is a pretty competitive rental market as well.
It is. And what I was taught is buy what you can afford. And real estate is strategic. The more you know, the better you can plan for your future real estate purchases. There's so much opportunity if you just get into the real estate game and look at owning 4 properties. 10's even better, but 4 is a way to retire in 15 years. 20? Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Both renting and owning have their pros and cons. Depending on your situation, one may be better than the other for you. My name is Matt Steele, and I hope this video was helpful. If it was, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel to see more content like this I upload weekly.